Welcome to another episode of the Hot
Seat
Pod, baby. Brought to you by Playbook Sports. I'm Anthony. At the host chair, we got the deucer with the abuser. Nah,
Don't call me that.
my
That's
bad.
crazy.
My bad, player.
No, you're good.
We got Izzy over there on the deucer desk. You know, he don't really watch ball like that, but Will can't be here today. So if I got to bounce anything off the deucer,
I'm here to
He's-
answer whatever he needs.
answer all mine. How old is Ramondre Stevenson?
26.
That might be right. I'm not going to
Is
lie.
that right? Google it. Fact check.
He might be younger, but I'm surprised. I thought you'd go older. But I feel like we always ask you how old young players are.
You guys used to, not anymore.
Not anymore. He is 26.
Let's go.
Deucer is a ball knower.
I knew it. I'm a ball knower.
He's a ball knower. If you guys want to be ball knowers too, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow to this YouTube account right here, Playbook Sports HQ. We also got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that you would need to learn ball, know ball, get filled in. Fill in your balls before I fill them in for you. Today we're going to be going through every single week 3 game and predicting a winner. First one to kick it off, Thursday. We got kind of a weird one, but we got a divisional rivalry game. We have the New England Patriots taking on the New York Jets at home. The Jets are 6.5-point favorites in this one. I'm rolling with the Jets. I think New England has shown a lot through these first 2 weeks that they're not this pushover team anymore. But I just think the Patriots' bread and butter these last 2 weeks have been Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson and Hunter Henry. And I think Hunter Henry, the Jets have locked up George Kittle in week 1. They locked up, They locked up Chiggy this week, so it's not even a big deal really. But they locked up Kittle week 1. They're kind of holding tight ends very well. Ramondre and Antonio Gibson are definitely threats, but the Jets do lose Jermaine Johnson, so he should help with that blitz as well. Aaron Rodgers has not looked impressive at all. And Garrett Wilson, I was telling y'all in the offseason, bro. I was telling y'all Garrett Wilson could be the most overrated player going into the season. But y'all don't want to hear overrated. Y'all want to hear who's underrated, listen. I understand bad quarterback to good quarterback equals good receiver to great receiver. But that's just not how football works. It's not a Madden team. It's not your franchise team. You're not rebuilding the Jets. It's football, bro, and it's going to take a little time for them to heat up as a duo, and I do get that. I don't think this is where Garrett Wilson finishes this year. I think he finishes similarly to other years. But I was trying to tell y'all George Pickens was a better receiver, and y'all didn't want to hear it, but look at it now. That's just what it is. Again, all that to say, Jets win. If they could use Braylon Allen like they did last week, I think the Jets could be a legit team, a legit threat, a legit contender, legit the shit. Honestly, they could be great. But they just got to keep Braylon Allen rolling. The next game, we're going to Cleveland. They're taking on the New York Giants. They're 6.5-point favorites at home. Cleveland is. I think this game is kind of big for Cleveland. Malik Neighbors, obviously, last week had a huge week for the Giants. It won't happen like that again, though. The Cleveland defense is just too good. They're legit. There's some dogs for sure. I don't think that you could get a 10 receptions, 127 yards, 1 touchdown, 18. You can't target a receiver 18 times against the Browns. The Browns are going to make you pay for that for sure, 100%. I think this could be a great game for the Browns to finally kind of get rolling. Defensively, we know what this team is. They were the number 1 defense in the NFL last year. They didn't get worse at all. They need to get that offense rolling. Amari Cooper, you got to start catching some balls, boy. I think he has 4 catches on the year for 18 targets or something like that. You gotta get those hands working, Amari Cooper. One of the best route runners in the league, no doubt about it. But if you're not catching balls, like Jerry Jeudy looks like that wide receiver 1 in Cleveland. And I told y'all in the offseason too, Jerry Jeudy's gonna have that bounce back year. And look at this. Look at us. Number 1 ball knower, I think, on the internet at this point. I really didn't miss a take this offseason because I do my research. I'm locked in. Green Bay at Tennessee. Tennessee actually is -2, which is somewhat of a surprise after Green Bay had that big week last week. But I ended up going with the Titans as well. The Titans, to me, I don't want to say the best, but one of the best defenses in the NFL. They were super underrated going into the year. Jeff Simmons and L'Jarius Sneed. It's just some dogs there, bro. They want to make plays. Roger McCreary, shout out to Titans fans last year for kind of checking me when I didn't mention his name. I believe in the Titans. I'm a Texans fan. They're in my division. I don't want to see the Titans, bro. I think that defense is legit, and they could definitely make some noise. And now you're playing against Malik Willis, bro, who, respect to Malik Willis, had a great week last week. Only missed two passing attempts incomplete. Only 2 incompletions. That's what I'm trying to say. But he didn't get pressured at all. 0 pressures. 0. Zilch. None versus the Colts. That's not going to happen in Tennessee, bro. And these cornerbacks are going to make some better noise for sure. They're not going to have as many open receivers. Josh Jacobs, I'm sorry. You had a great week last week. You're not going to get 30 touches running the ball this week. It's just not going to happen. I'm rolling with the Tennessee Titans. Next week, next game, Chicago at Indiana. Indiana is -2. Okay. This is, I think, what we all want to know. Like, is Caleb Williams the truth? How does he handle his back against the wall? I think he handles it. I think he has a big week this week, and I think the Bears actually end up winning. I think the Bears defense is one of the best in the NFL, and we saw what happened with Anthony Richardson last week against the Packers, playing against a defense that, this might be a hot take, but frankly, I don't think is as good as the Bears defense. I really don't. I'm sorry. I don't think they're as good as the Bears defense. I think the Bears defense is going to fuck them up. And then Caleb Williams, the DBs in Indiana are not going to give him problems like Derek Stingley did. You know, DJ Moore might actually be open majority of the game. Rome Odunze should have a bounce back week as well. Hopefully Keenan Allen's back, even though he's a fat ass. But I do think Caleb Williams could really go out there and ball. The Colts need to utilize Michael Pittman Jr. more. Alec Pierce has been their number 1 receiver so far this season. I don't think you can win games, really, if Alec Pierce is your number 1 guy. He's a great second, third option. Hopefully Josh Downs coming back might fix that a little bit. But Michael Pittman needs to be force the ball. Force the ball. I believe week 1 he had 8 targets. Last week I think he had 5, I want to say. But, yeah, I think Josh Downs coming back could be huge. I also think they need to just feed Jonathan Taylor the ball. I get that they were down. It wasn't in the script to have Jonathan Taylor eat in the fourth quarter. But for him to not play in the fourth quarter is kind of atrocious, bro. I'm going to be honest. It's a little disrespectful to me. Jonathan Taylor, on the ground, you could argue is still the best running back in football. I wouldn't do it, but you could argue it. You know what time it is. Houston Texans head to Minnesota as 1.5 point favorites. Texans are, at least. This game is tough. I think the Texans are legit, and I think the Vikings are legit. The number 1 question I have is if the Vikings are those guys, that team, do you start J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold next year? You waste a lot of draft capital on J.J. McCarthy, but could this be a obviously different situation, but Trey Lance, Brock Purdy type of situation where it's like we didn't expect this dude to be our starter, and now he's going to kind of have to be over the dude we drafted high? Because that's what it's looking like. With that being said, I'm going with Houston here as well. I'm never going to bet against my dogs. Joe Mixon, they said it's not a long-term injury, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play this week. That hip drop tackle situation was serious, bro, and I think he's right. Like, what's the point of putting a ban on something if you're not going to ban it? You're just saying it to protect. Like, that's some politicking, bro. We're not doing that in the NFL. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope Dameon Pierce plays next week, because if he balls out, we'll trade him to the Cowboys. I want to see Dameon Pierce eat, bro, and I want to see him with opportunities as well. I think utilizing Ty Chandler for Minnesota is going to be a key, because he's so much of a different on-the-ground runner as Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones definitely eats in the pass catching, but Ty Chandler, he's strong, bro. Don't underrate him. I don't love Ty Chandler, but I think he just works well with Aaron Jones, if that makes sense. I'm not picking him up in fantasy or nothing like that. He's not going in my DFS lineups. Damn sure not taking the over on him, but I do like him as a fit in Minnesota. Let's head over to Philadelphia 76ers. What happened? Come on, bro. Y'all play the Falcons. I just finished watching that game, bro. That was atrocious. That was embarrassing. I would be ashamed if I was myself, if I was an Eagles fan. Christian. But with that being said, Philly goes to New Orleans as -2.5 favorites when I looked at this. Isaiah, can you check if Philadelphia or what the betting odds are for the Saints versus Eagles game? Because I don't think they're going to be favorites anymore. After that, y'all lost to Kirk Cousins in primetime. Kirk Cousins is 3-10 in primetime, now 4-10. It's kind of ridiculous. See if you could find a line that says like -2.5 or. Yeah. If you go on ESPN. Or what were you on?
I found action, but
What does it say? What?
okay, it says
What?
here, what I'm going.
That's fine. You could just say it.
Okay. The Eagles are -1 and then the Saints are +1.
So now Eagles go down to 1-point favorites. They were 2.5 when I looked at this. Dude, I think Kamara is going to eat that team up. I mean, we saw what Bijan did. He opened the game up so much for Kirk Cousins. And the Saints, through 2 weeks, have looked like the best team in the NFL. I know that might be an overreaction to 2 weeks, but that's why I prefaced it by saying through 2 weeks, they've looked like the best team in the NFL. I think if the Saints keep this up, they are going to be the best team in the NFL and eventually hang up a Super Bowl banner. I don't even know if banners are a football thing. I know it's a basketball thing, but this is my thought. This is my biggest thought. If they keep this up, yeah, they're the best team in the NFL for sure. Are we really going to bet on Derek Carr to keep it up? Are we? Are y'all going to put your money on Derek Carr? Because I for sure am not going to do that. He's just so inconsistent. I think he could go back to earth this game, but nah, fuck that. Saints are going to slaughter this team. I'm taking this New Orleans -1, -2.5, whatever the fuck. I think Saints win by 2 or more touchdowns. I think they slaughtered them. Derek Carr hasn't had a drive where he didn't end in a score, and I don't think the Saints defense is nothing scary. The Cowboys defense is better than the Saints defense. They really are. I mean, the Panthers, sure, 47-10. Like, go out there, do what you got to do. The Chargers, I mean, held them to 23-3. But the Saints offense and defense is legit. I think they could give Jalen Hurts a lot of problems. I think Drew Brees should light this team up. And if he doesn't, Alvin Kamara had 5 fucking touchdowns last week. And I would not be surprised if he does it again. Simple as that. Simple as that. Let's head over to L.A. where the Chargers take on the Steelers in Pitt. Steelers -2.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Steelers here. The Chargers have looked really good through 2 weeks. With that being said, they've looked really good because of their O-line. With that being said, they're playing against TJ motherfucking Watt, who could run through an O-line like nothing. And I don't think their receivers are good enough to be able to get open in the amount of time that it takes for TJ Watt to get to Justin Herbert every play. And I'm not trying to overhype TJ Watt. I'm not trying to glaze TJ Watt, but TJ Watt has kind of looked unstoppable through 2 weeks. Like, I want to put Hutch in those conversations with TJ Watt for sure. But it's just TJ Watt gets better and better every year, bro. At this rate, he's going to be like 20, 30 sacks, not a game, but 20, 30 sacks by the age of 40, bro. Like, if he keeps improving like this, he's going to be a dog for sure. I also don't think the Chargers' run game is legit. I know everyone wants to hype up Dobbins and Edwards and all that. I don't think it's as good as it looks. You know, I feel like, I mean, you ran through the Panthers, you ran through the Raiders. They're cool and all that. But I don't think their run defense is all that elite. Now you're taking on, again, TJ Watt. I believe they have Patrick Queen there now. Like, they've got some dogs there. They're going to make some noise there for sure. Denver, Tampa Bay. They're playing at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a 7-point favorite. Give me the Denver fucking Broncos here. I'm taking the underdog in this one. I feel like it's got to happen. At least this, or an underdog's got to win. You know, I'm kind of rolling with a lot of favorites here. I've taken the underdog in some games, but like these heavy favorite games, an underdog's got to win one of them. And I think the Broncos are the team to beat this year. I think the Broncos are going to be the team to do it this week. Patrick Surtain on Mike Evans should disrupt this offense enough. Rashad White got banged up last week. I don't know if he plays or not this week. I would assume he does, but you'd never want to play banged up. It's just going to be too much to adjust to for this Bengals offense. And I think Bo Nix week 1 was cool. Bo Nix week 2 was pretty good, actually. Bo Nix week 3, I think we could see an explosion. I don't think the Broncos O-line gets lit up the way it's been getting lit up through the first 2 weeks. They've been kind of dog shit, honestly. And I believe in the Broncos defense a lot. I think they're kind of underrated. I believe in Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix will have a bounce back. Or not a bounce back, but I think he could like make a name for himself this season and kind of solidify that quarterback position that the Broncos have had a revolving door around since Peyton Manning left. So I think Bo Nix, this is his team to lose. I think now next steps, once you get this generational quarterback, you got to draft the O-line around him. And I think that's what the Broncos need to start doing because their defense is going to be good. You have Pat Surtain there. People are going to want to play with him. Their offense could use a little bit of work. I don't believe in Javonte. I think Julian McLaughlin is a great running back too, but I don't know if he's good enough to be your running back one on like a legit team. I think maybe you could work on that though. That's not a hard thing to improve on in the NFL draft. With that being said, give me the Broncos to beat the Buccaneers. Carolina plays Vegas. We're not going to waste too much time on this one. Give me Vegas. They're playing in Las Vegas. Vegas is 7-point favorites, which I might take, honestly. I think Vegas should be a 10.5-point favorite in this game, bro. Carolina showed nothing but that they are dog ass. Benching Bryce Young. We're going to get an Andy Dalton game. I think maybe that could be a little different. A little? Just a little different. But not different enough, bro. Give me the Raiders. Next up, we have Miami at Seattle. Seattle is a 6-point favorite. A lot of injuries in this game. We're going to get Tua out. We're going to have Ken Walker out. So I feel like the two best, not best, let me chill. Let me relax. Let me take a breather because I was about to say something wild. But you could say the two most important offensive players on both teams missing the game. I know Tua isn't better than Tyreek, but at least they have Waddle. Now you're starting Snoop Huntley. I don't think that's going to lead to success. And then Ken Walker. Zach Charbonnet has looked so inefficient running down the field. He scored 2 touchdowns, but they were like 5-yard touchdowns. They weren't anything too impressive, really. Yeah, I with that being said, I'm taking Miami. I think Tyler Huntley. I think Tyreek Hill. I think Jalen. Like, this team has championship aspirations. They have to win games when the cards are stacked against them. This is the week to do it. The Seahawks don't really have that. The Seahawks aren't legit. As much as y'all want to compare it to the Legion of Boom, we're not doing that, though. I mean, Tyler Huntley is 3-6 as a starter, but he had to play teams like Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Seattle isn't really on their level. And then A-Chain looked really good week 2. And Antonio Gibson and Ramondre ate the Seahawks up. A-Chain is a lot better than those two. On both sides. He could do the pass catching of Antonio Gibson and the rushing of Ramondre. I don't know about that. But he's just a little bit more versatile. He should definitely give the Seattle Seahawks some problems. This next game, oh boy, this is the game to watch this week. Ring a buzzer. We don't got a buzzer. Baltimore Ravens take on the Dallas Cowboys. The Ravens are a 0.5-point favorite. But I'm going with the Cowboys here, man. We them boys. I think the Ravens are a better football team. I think the Cowboys match up against the Ravens just a little bit better. The Cowboys defense, I think, can neutralize Zay Flowers. I think Micah Parsons could definitely give them some problems in the pass rush. That O-line is so weak in Baltimore. Those receivers are so weak in Baltimore. There's not really much for them to work with here. And then I think Dak and CeeDee outshine the power that Lamar has. You know, Lamar, I think, is the best or second best offensive player in the NFL in the way of impact, bro. He just impacts the fucking game everywhere. You're game planning strictly for Lamar when you play against the Ravens. With that being said, I think the Cowboys have the players, the personnel to hold Lamar a little bit. They have the personnel to lock up those receivers as well. So I'm taking the Cowboys in this one. The 49ers play the Rams. 49ers are 7-point favorites, but they're playing in L.A. This is a tough one, dude. There's no Debo. There's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Puka. With that being said, I'm going with the Niners. But, I trust Stafford more with those bum-ass wide receivers more than I do Brock Purdy with, like, a George Kittle and an Ayuk. You know? Like, if Stafford had those guys, I think he'd be dominating. But Brock Purdy, I don't know. I think the juice is done on Brock. Big cock Brock might have shrunk a little bit. He might have been off the pills, and they took his prescription away. He might be cooked. I'm not rocking with Brock Purdy through these first 2 weeks. He's looked kind of mid. Not bad. Not terrible. I'm not calling him a bum like how y'all were doing. Not calling him Mr. Irrelevant, but he's just kind of looked mid. Average quarterback at best. The Rams defense just isn't good, and Jordan Mason is kind of just going to eat them alive. I think that's what I'm banking on this week. So we get that Jordan Mason bounce back. Give me the Niners. Detroit at Arizona. Man, I should have checked the – Izzy, can you check the point total line for Detroit at Arizona? I'd guess it's 50.5. I'm not going to lie. But point totals for Detroit versus Arizona. I think the line should be somewhere like 50. 51.5, bro. This game could be a shootout for sure. I mean, we just saw Cardinals hang 47 on the Rams, but I think that Rams defense is weak. I think the pass rush for the Lions is going to be elite this year. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, we've seen it already. He's been a dog. Also, from what I know, the Cardinals have the worst defensive line, so Jared Goff is going to be just sitting back. Maybe he could file his nails a little bit, throwing those bombs to Amon-Ra. Jameson Williams over might be the money lock of a week, because if Jared Goff is having all the time in the world, which I think he's gonna, they're gonna draw up plays to get Jameson Williams involved deep down the field. I don't know about the over, because we've seen these Lions back-to-back weeks put up 16 and I think 21, I think, versus the Rams. Just not as high scoring as you would like. So I'm not taking the over, but I take Jameson Williams over. Give me the Detroit Lions versus the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. is legit. And one thing I've noticed from watching the Lions play is Terrion Arnold is just a flag machine, bro. I think he has 4 flags already on the year. He's racking them up, bro. But yeah, I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. is enough. Trey McBride has looked decent at best this year. Give me the Lions. Next up, Kansas City versus the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out Atlanta for getting it done today. They might be in the most competitive division in football, if we're not counting the Carolina Panthers, obviously. But KC -5, I really like that. I think KC's a lot better than Philadelphia. This shouldn't really be a game. If Atlanta offense could play like it did, which I don't think they will, then this team could be a legit threat in the NFL this year. But again, I don't really think it will. I think it was a fluke. Give me KC. Jacksonville going to Buffalo. Buffalo is a 6-point favorite. Give me the Bills. James Cook is my dog. I told y'all in the offseason to invest all of your chips in James Cook. Why didn't you listen to me? Y'all could have got him in the 3rd, 4th round. He could finish as the RB1 this year. Y'all need to listen. Y'all need to open them ears. Take James Cook. James Cook is going to hoop this year. He's better than Travis Etienne. Even if Tank Bigsby's out, I think James Cook has a much better game than Etienne. I think the passing defense for the Bills was one of the most underrated ones in the offseason, and you could see that through 2 weeks. They have been very good. They held Tyreek Hill. They held – who'd they play week 1? Izzy, who'd the Bills play week 1? Cardinals. They held Marvin Harrison Jr. They've clamped up the best receivers on both teams. Jacksonville has more of a committee, so maybe that gives them a little bit of problems, but we've seen bad weeks from Christian Kirk. All they got to do is lock up Brian Thomas Jr. The last game of the week, sponsored by nobody. Washington at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is -7. Let me repeat that. -7.5 point. How is Cincinnati favored that highly, bro? Washington is underrated. Their offense is super good. Give me the Commanders, man. Give me the Bengals are buns. They're ass. Joe Burrow, I'm sorry. Your aura run is done, brother. You're cooked. Jamar Chase. You wanted the bag so bad you stopped practicing? That's what it looks like. You look weak, bro. He needs to become undeniable. You want 30 M's? You better be wide open if the game plan is we're not giving Jamar the ball because we don't want to pay him, make yourself undeniable so these kids on Twitter could post their little screen grabs saying, look how open he was. Like, it hasn't been that through 2. And I know football isn't black and white like that, but come on, bro. Justin Jefferson, that's who you want to get paid like. Justin Jefferson is miles. Jamar, I believed in you, bro. I called you the best receiver in the NFL. I don't believe that anymore, bro. Justin Jefferson is that guy. Sam Darnold looks like Michael Jordan now. I'm Michael Jordan. I did it solo, dolo. I'm like Steph Curry in 2022. Yeah. What a reference, huh? Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, but most importantly, make sure you run the play. Peace.